Hello everybody and welcome to the December 2021 update from Clydebridge station, and this is the last video of the year from this channel. I hope you've enjoyed all the other videos that I've done this year, and I promise you there's more to come in 2022 as we seek to do more work on this layout. A few things that do need changing for the better. Now the purpose of this video today is to show you some of the things that I've done in December on the layout. They include this. This is a pre-built Bachmann brute trolley. This is a scale model scenery brute trolley which you have to build yourself and paint. And I must say the SMS one looks a lot better than the Bachmann one. And in this video I'm going to be showing you how to build that. The boxes that you see there are also from SMS as well, and I'll try and show you how to build them later on. I'm also going to be building a bus shelter for here. They come in a pack of 2 and I mucked up one of them, so luckily I only need one. And we've got bus stop signs to install as well, so we'll be getting a couple of them put on the layout. So that's what's going to be coming. Before I do start though, you'll notice my fencing's still standing here. This is the Armco barrier from Scale Model Scenery. When I was installing this and showing you in the November video, one thing I forgot to mention, and it could be quite important, was, and it's a little tip that I'll give you, when you're actually building the Armco, except at the ends, there should be a join in between the pillars here. The support pillars should be joining each other, the two barriers together. Now a little tip I'll give you, when you come to glue these bits onto the middle and one end, you always would use rocket card glue. When you come to then, however, put the barrier on the other side of this pillar, use Yoo-hoo glue as you would for putting it on the base of the pillars to stick the pillars to the ground, because the rocket card glue already spreads on already spreads over the barrier, and it might not adhere the second time, so use Yoo-hoo glue for doing that bit. It's a little tip that I'll give you there. Anyway, let's get on with this month's programme, and we'll start off with building one of these brute trolleys from Scale Model Scenery. Now you can see the comparison between the brute trolleys here. The Bachmann one is a lot smaller than the SMS one, and you'll notice as well that the Bachmann one, if I just hold it up there for you, you can see that's not quite realistic, the mesh. If you look at photos of brute trolleys, compare it to the Scale Model Scenery version, you can see just how more realistic that is. I've painted it in a blue colour that I got from Ryman's the Stationers. Any artist's acrylic paint can be used for that. One tip that I will give you is, don't paint it until you've built it. The bottom is painted in black, which I've done there as well. The boxes are actually a separate purchase. So what I'm going to do is I'll get started and show you how to build this. And a little tip that I'll give you, patience. Right, so here we're getting started. You'll need your tweezers, craft knife, rocket card glue, and the kit itself, you have enough parts to make 4 brute trolleys from. And very kindly, Scale Model Scenery have also included spare casters. They are easy to lose, believe me. So what it states is, you first of all release one solid base, which is one of these, and one with 4 holes. Now this is actually quite a first, because as far as I'm aware nobody from Scale Model Scenery has actually done a video showing you how to build these yet, so unless Justin Noble or Dylan Sanderson or Tina Noble down at Scale Model Scenery actually bring out a video before this one gets published, then I have actually beaten them to it. Now you actually have to glue them together and align all the edges, so it's a good tip just to make sure that you align the edges like that beforehand, so you know what you're doing, and then very carefully there we go. Now I'll just put that safe up there for now. That'll go on. One little thing to watch for is the glue can go into the holes, so anyway, so that's that done there. Now put the lid back on that glue for the moment. Now we're going to do the bit that I hated when I built the first one, and that's release the 4 wheels from the laser board sheet. As I say, very kindly at Scale Model Scenery, giving you enough casters to do more than 4, so you've got some spares. They are easy to lose, so a wee bit of a job getting that first one off, but that's it going off, and oh no, it hasn't. They are so minute, those casters, by the way, hence why I did say that they're easy to lose. The noise you can hear in the background, by the way, is my heater that I've got here. We are, at the time of filming, in a very cold spell. It's rather nippy out there today. So that's the noise you can hear. I will be turning that heater off in a little while. And as I say, these wheels are very fiddly and they are very easy to lose, so don't do this on a dark surface. If you can, do it on an upright, high up surface, because if you do it on a carpet, you'll lose them, and that's actually what happened to me. Now whilst I'm fiddling about getting these wheels off, quick shout out to the Cooper Model Railway Club, who recently had their Christmas show at the Corn Exchange, and there's a video to that. I think it should be in the top corner of the screen at some point. There were quite a few layouts there, so if you haven't already seen it, please do watch it. It's very good. Now the trick here is you're going to have to use your tweezers and your glue. Mentioning to you as well from Cooper Model Railway Club, one of my mates, Ryan Gray, has a layout called Eden Road. It's on Facebook and Twitter, and so if you could just give him a like and a follow, please. Now this is where it gets rather fiddly, and you wouldn't. Oh, yeah, it's actually went right in between two sleepers. Would you believe? Right, we'll come back to that. No, we'll go get it out there now. Justin Noble assured me that you could use tweezers. I'm actually going to have to use my bare fingers to get that first one in. This glue does give you time to adjust things, but be very quick about it, I would assure you. You might always be tempted to paint these, but please don't do that until it's fully complete and the glue is dry, because the glue might not actually adhere to the paint very well. Now that fourth one is stuck in here, would you believe? Right, I've got it. So you get spare wheels anyway with it, but don't have them all aligned the same way, by the way. You can put some in different directions to give a realistic appearance. I don't know how well you can see that there. Get it in there and find it's not going to stick. But more glue needed. Somebody sending me a message on my phone. That's what you heard buzzing there. Now, Richard Warren down at Everard Junction and David Watson of Dean Park Station fame, please give their two layouts out here on YouTube a check out too. Dean Park Station is also on Facebook as well, and please join his group too. So that's that there. We'll have to give that a few minutes to dry. So what I'm going to do is now show you the next bit. This might look all complicated, and I accept that, but it isn't as bad as what it looks to be. What you've got here is enough bits that will make 4 cages, and you have to double the bits together. So what you've got is, we'll take this frame bit here, there are 4 frame, there are enough frame sections to be able to make the 3 sides of each brute trolley. So be very careful, because you can see that they are extremely fragile, and the last thing that you need to do is break one. Also notice I'm not using a cutting mat unlike Dylan or Justin, so we can get away with that. So that's a piece that will go on one side, and we'll get the mesh bit that goes with it. It's worth mentioning as well that when you're actually doing this, while I'm doing this, I've painted it blue, but they can be getting a sort of scuffed appearance as well, mainly through use. You might actually find that you can have them painted in, say, black for instance as well, or a mixture of weathered blue as it were. So you've got all sorts of colour variations. So what we'll do, we're going to get our trusty old rocket card glue again. Now what we'll do is we'll make sure the panel is the right way. The mesh should always be, not there, I'll just show you. I don't know how well I can show you this on the camera here, but the mesh here should always, these lines should always be proud of the mesh. That's the back, as you can see, where it's all flush. So it should always be like that. And what you would then do is get your rocket card glue, and I'll glue it like that. We'll just put that up out the road now. You can see that should just press down on there, so we'll leave that to dry. So we have a panel for the back. So we have a wire panel, we have a frame panel and a mesh panel for the back. And you've got a plain side panel. Now the panel I've just built there has space for a label on it. If you are actually going to be using these and you want to put labels on, a couple of things you could do to make your labels. You can get these little self-adhesive labels, that blank labels that you could use for putting addresses on for parcels, and just cut off little bits there. Alternatively, if you've got spare white lines from road markings from scale model scenery, just trim little bits of them off if you want, and you could use them instead as well. So you can therefore add labels to your items. Now the first panel we actually glued the mesh bit. This time we're going to glue the frame bit. Doesn't matter what, actually it does matter what side you do, because you've got the same issue there. The duller side is the side that you glue. It's a bit fiddly that for holding it on, so I'm actually going to go with my first instinct and glue this panel. Don't be tempted, by the way, to actually glue one panel and then put it on. Wait till you've got all the panels done. The reason for doing that is obviously you've got to try and get them all aligned up. And it gives you a chance to make sure that everything is properly dried. So we'll get a second panel put on, and something I forgot to do with that first panel, but I'm going to do it now. Just put a slight bend in it. Don't need to do it too much. You see that there? That's all. I've just done that with my bare fingers, that bend, but the instructions recommend that you actually could use something like a pen, a ballpoint pen, to do it with. So we'll let that dry. Now there's one more panel to get out, wire, and one more frame to get out. And if you could also, when you're here on YouTube, give a check out to West Blyth MPD, which is set in Northumberland. I've got an uncle that stays in Blyth, in fact, so I'm pretty sure that would interest him. He's here on YouTube, as I say, West Blyth MPD, Dudley Central, who's actually just recently installed a new station building, identical. Oops, that's the wrong panel I've cut out there. See what I mean by talking? But I'm going to build another one anyway later on, so that's what I get for talking. Yeah, Dudley Central, he's just installed a new station building, and it actually happens to be the same station building as I've got here at Clydebridge. And I have recommended to him that he installs a W.H. Smith on his layout. He could actually end up using the wee kiosk bit on the station building as a W.H. Smith. So if you could go and check him out, please. He just recently took delivery of some West Midlands Travel Leyland Fleet Line double-decker buses. For those actually wondering, the Fleet Line hasn't actually been in service in the West Midlands for many years now. I believe the last ones were taken out of service in the early 2000s. Well, I'm sure West Midlands Travel will tell me different. So that panel we've made there extra, that can deal with that later on. And it doesn't really say in instructions what's right or wrong here, but I would say you should glue the mesh and frames first before bending them. Let them dry obviously as well before you do bend them. Don't worry about bits of it being a wee bit broken there, because it can give the appearance of a damaged cage. Not every cage is actually perfect. There we go. So that's our free sides there. I'll let that one dry before I do bend it, and I need to make sure that I have got it the right dimensions anyway. Now this is where it gets a bit tricky, as if it wasn't tricky enough. Install the first curved panel as shown, so you would put your first curved panel there, so that the bottom and front edges sit flush. Okay. This is, there's a cast, and believe it or not, I've actually had a wheel come out whilst I was talking about that, so not to worry, we'll get another wheel in there. Like that, the fact they're all coming out. You know what, I might actually Yoo-hoo glue those wheels in. In fact, that might be an option. I might Yoo-hoo the wheels in. I'll need to actually use a spare wheel. I'm going to say it's quite a good job that we actually have that they supply spare wheels. Make sure that that's flush like that. I'm going to leave that to dry, and I think that's what I'll do, is I'll actually install the wheel after I've built this, so we'll at least you'll get to see the crux of it, how it gets done. So you install the first curved end panel, and then you would add the rear rectangular panel. I'll get that out for you. There it is there. For some reason I'm beginning to talk a wee bit like the late Bob Ross, the painter, The Joy of Painting. Anyway. With these wheels coming up, I'm beginning to actually realise why Dylan and Justin haven't actually went and done a live build of these yet. You two are on, mates. Now, this is actually, I told you this gets tricky here. As you can see, I haven't gave it enough time to dry. So that's it there. You'll get the idea of how the third panel should go in. So we'll leave that to dry for a couple of minutes. I'll just turn this heater off, and whilst we're waiting on that drying, I mentioned to you these cardboard boxes that would perhaps sit in one of these cages, and they could actually sit around other places as well. I'm just going to quickly show you how to build one of them while I'll let those two dry before I put the third bit in. So the biggest one's the easiest ones to build, so I'll do that. Cut them out. Now I've got the instructions handily here. Now when you cut one out, A, B, and then you've got C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F. Very important that, excuse me, very important I mention that to you right now. Again, these can be a bit of a pain to come out. The pack itself contains, how many? 35 in assorted sizes. As I say, I'm going to do the bigger one because it is actually the easier one to build. And there's less chance of me making a monumental you-know-what up with it. Par for the course with me. Now, the boxes are designed to be assembled just like real boxes, and the flaps can be glued down or left open as required. So basic folding and gluing instructions are shown on the guide, and the blue lines are the pre-score folds which should be folded back on themselves. So you apply the best tip I would give is to actually do your folds first, just to make sure that you've got everything in place. Let's see how you can see that. There you go. Okay. Then apply glue to the underside of tab A. I think that's it. There we go. That would fold all the way over. And you'll need to hold it steady for a good few seconds. Then you would fold the tabs back in letter order to complete assembly, so you have to remember what's what, which is an almost impossible task, I have to say. Oh, but there we go. It would actually be a good idea, scale model soon, you could put little letters on the tabs. We're going to let that sit for a minute, and hopefully we can get this third panel on, and then that'll be construction of the cage completed. Obviously I've got to put a new wheel on, and you notice I didn't bend that panel, so I'll just bend that there now, and then we'll get the glue onto it. Put a wee bit more glue on it because I've actually had more of it on my fingers than anything else. I haven't glued my fingers together in my life, and I could assure you it's a record I'm anxious to maintain. So that's just lacking a wheel, which will get done, and then it needs to be painted. Let's get back to this box. Now this is where your craft knife comes in useful again, because what to do is it's coming apart. Not to worry. You don't even need to put a lot of pressure on it, but put a little bit down there. Rocket card glue on that and that. Now, I'm still hoping that this is actually staying together, and it's not. It does recommend you can use PVA with a fine tipped applicator. I'm using rocket card glue because that seems to be par for the course with everything. Scale model scenery make. And then we'll just put some more rocket card glue on there. Push them down with your craft knife. Fold. You do really need about 3 pairs of hands to build this. But we'll just hold that in position there. And it gives me a chance as well to say a quick hello to anybody else who's got model railway layouts here that I haven't mentioned. And I'll mention them throughout the video as well. We've got the Warley Model Railway Club here on YouTube. So if you could give them a check out, please. And the Glenrothes Model Railway Club is on Facebook. So if you could say hello to them, please, and give them a like as well. They'll be very pleased with your support. And when we're on about Network South East, the Network South East Railway Society, if you could give them a quick check out, please. So that box is actually now done. And as I say, I've got to get a wee caster in there. So I'm now going to go ahead and paint this. I'll install a new caster first. I'm going to go ahead and paint that cage. And then once the cage is painted, that'll be a box to go in it. And then we'll show what the finished result is. So, whilst part of that roll cage is drying right now, the brute trolley, I'm going to try and build this bus shelter. As I've already mentioned, and I mentioned it in the November update, I managed to make a mess of the first one. I only need one to hopefully fit in at this alcove here. Full instructions on the back, which I didn't read the first time. Hey ho. So, carefully remove the gate components from the parts tree using a sharp craft knife. So you'll need this. You'll need laser cut kit glue or rocket card glue. I would also perhaps recommend you use some scissors if you need to. So I'll get the back part of the shelter out first. Now this is actually modelled on a non-commercial bus shelter. You do get some bus shelters that have advertising slots in them. I'm thinking ones by the likes of, say, Ad Shell, for instance. But ones that are commissioned and have the local authority name on it don't tend to carry commercial advertising, but ones that are rented out to the local authority, some of them will carry commercial advertising. As I say, the Ad Shell ones are the ones that I'm actually thinking of here. So, as I say, we're going to get the back bit of the shelter out first. And, whoops, that's really the back bit will fit lovely in there. In fact, it's just an ideal size for it. Now, of course, I've got another bit to take out, or I've got 6 little bits to take out. And I don't know how well you can see that, but that's what they are. Put that to one side a moment. And I'm taking out the squares that are in what would be spaces for your windows. Now, one little thing I would say about this kit is, although the window glass comes in the one sheet like that, as we know, bus shelters are sadly good targets for vandals, so you may want to perhaps have a bit of the panelling broken. You may even want to have some graffiti on the shelter. You may want both, actually. I'm just building it in a plain good condition, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to. Now, of course, it takes a wee while to get all of these bits out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the camera now, take these bits out, and then we'll carry on from there. Right, so I've got the bits drying there, and you see I've painted them black. It does state that you paint them before you actually glue them together, and what might not be so clearly visible is we've got here the 3 glazing panels. And what we'll actually be doing is building a left hand and right hand pair of sides, and then we've got the back to go on. So that's going to be my next step, but I've got a couple other things that I'm going to show you. Okay, so that's what we've got next. Bus stop signs and posts, generic 24, and I'll have this symbol on them. So this does date it to the 80s and early 90s. The kit itself you've got your various bus stop signs, and you've got these yellow signs. Now the yellow signs say no stopping 7 AM until 7 PM except buses. Just to point out to you that not every place actually happens to have those on their bus stops. And if you're actually modelling in the 60s and 70s, you wouldn't actually use this style of sign. You would have it in block capitals, bus stop, or on occasions, bus fare stage. I actually know that one of those bus fare stage signs still exists in Kirkcaldy. I'm not going to say where, however, in case any, shall we say, collectors try to go out and get it. And I also know that there's at least one more of those bus fare stage signs exists in Fife. But as I say, I'm not telling you where. But this is correct for the era that I'm modelling. And you've got your full instructions there, along with your bus stop poles. And the signs here are actually what they call flags. Now, the rods have to be 40 centimetres, and as luck would have it, I haven't got a tape measure with me. Am I lucky? However, as luck would have it, I actually do have a just about there, about the size of that bus. So what we'll do is we'll get a pair of scissors. You can actually use a craft knife or scissors for this. I'm just going to use scissors. And a little tip, cut it onto the sheet like that so you don't. Okay, so I say cut it onto the sheet so you don't lose it, and it's actually flew right over to the maintenance depot, but luckily I've found it. Oh dearie me. Right, so I've actually cut 3, 2 of one size and 1 of another size, so yeah, but what we'll do is we'll put that away. Now these will actually need to have a little hole made for them to sit in as well, and that I will actually do at some point. Now it also comes with timetable information panels, and we're going to use them as well, because the Strathclyde Passenger Transport Executive was actually very good at that sort of thing. So apply glue to one inner face of the folded sign, and then, oops, we've got to read it actually correctly, and as you'll see I'm demolishing the whole place here. That's now fell off, but that's going to stay down there because I've got a use for that once I get the hard standing along the bottom. Right, cut one of the bus stop signs and fold in half. So I'll just take this one here. I hope you can actually see what I'm doing. Yes, you can. Fold it in half. It's always better to work with 2 hands. And it will eventually sit there. Now apply glue to one end. It doesn't say what type of glue to use. So I'm going to have a gamble with rocket card glue. Well, in this case it's laser kit card glue, but it's the same thing. Anyway, put that on there. I may have been better with the Yoo-hoo glue. Make sure you fold it straight. Yeah, I do get some, that's actually not even straight as you can see there. So it is actually of good fortune that you do get more than enough if you're only using say 2 or 3 bus stops. You do get more than enough. And what we'll do with the other one, I'm just hoping that that's actually going to adhere, and it actually looks like it is going to adhere, so I may have got away with it. So again, you can't see that because of my massive fingers and thumbs, but that's that folded in half. So well done. I can't get the thing open. You can bleep this if you want to. Don't be tempted and glue this in and then stick the pole in. That's not how you do that, because you may find the pole itself will not stick. Some black marks in there, but there. Two little bus stop signs. Now, what we'll do is we'll put the two down there, and that's just about the height of that single decker Leyland National, so that's that. And it also says here, dropped a bit, something else, cut out a yellow no stopping sign. And it does say leave a gap of approximately 3. What we'll do is I say we'll put it on. I wasn't going to, now we were going to put it on, but I've actually managed to lose it. So this is very fiddly, by the way, folks. You see this to believe it. As I say, if you're only needing 2 or 3 signs, you get plenty spares. So put that craft knife away the now. You have to do this bit very carefully, and it's got to be at right angles to the bus stop flag. So there. Now, place that down there carefully. And we've got my timetable sheet here. Now it's in obviously minute print, but that's actually quite good. So I've got that glued. And just timetable case, by the way, that I'm applying, it could be generic for any period and it could be generic for any operator. There we go, and that's what your bus stop flag would look like. Now once I've got that dried, that'll be going into position on a part of the layout where there's a bus stop, and I'll put one here and I'll put one up in the other part of the street scene. What we're going to now do is go and check and see how well dry these panels are for the bus shelter, and that's what we're going to do next. That's me building up the bus shelter now. I'm doing this bit off camera because it is a bit fiddly. It's looking okay, and it's going to fit over here in the alcove, and I've installed a bus stop flag and pole. You'll notice a mistake I made. Just dawned on me. I put for the first one the timetable information like that. That might not actually necessarily be correct. It should actually be pointing at 90 degrees so that people on the pavement can actually see the timetable information. So luckily I've got obviously more bus stop signs. I only need one more really. So it's very fortunate that I've got quite a large number in the bus stop pack. So there we go. Got that sorted out for that one. And it'll be one at the other end. So just waiting on the glue drying here. That'll get stuck onto here, and then I've got the roof section to put on, and then we'll get that in place and we'll see how that looks. Now whilst I'm here, take and give a few shout outs. Let's give a couple of shout outs to people who are not necessarily train enthusiasts. A good mate of mine, Ryan Swain, he's on YouTube and Instagram. Ryan Swain is a DJ, and he also has ADHD. And I must confess, I can actually sympathise with him as being a mild autism sufferer myself. He's got his own YouTube channel, and if you suffer from ADHD, please watch Ryan Swain, because he is absolutely inspirational. You are not a sufferer. You are a great person, even if you have ADHD or autism. Please do not think you suffer from it. You only have it. You still live your life. Also on Instagram, if you give a check out to a personal trainer and former rugby league player, Ethan Sam, I've put the link into his Instagram below. I don't actually know if you'll actually like this video or this layout, because I've mentioned here he's got a rugby league background, and I'm a rugby union fan, and there's a rugby union ground on my layout, so I'm interested in that one, but please give him a check out. And also, we'll go back to trains. Give a check out to the Class 47 website, www.class47.co.uk. Give that website a check out for the most famous diesel locomotive. Well, certainly in my opinion anyway. It was the most numerous type of diesel locomotive ever bought by British Rail for the main line. The only one that outnumbered it was the Class 08 Shunter. Coincidentally, both are on my layout. So give a check out to www.class47.co.uk. And whilst this is all drying, I'll turn the camera off for a minute and we'll go and build it up. There we go, so that's the bus shelter in place. That is not perfect. I know that I could have done a better job than that, and it needs touching up on the roof, so that'll get done at some point. Probably when I get round to doing the floor, the bases, sorry, on the two other brute trolleys. As I say, it's not perfect, but you can't see all of it. So, but that's the shelter in place with the bus stop, and we'll just bring the bus in there. We have a completed bus stop. Obviously the bus stop pole has to go into that bus stop as well, and I might in the future actually get another bus stop made up, but I'll see how that goes anyway. Right, let's get back to this thing. It's needing painted. As you can see, some of them have been done already, so that's what's next. We'll get this one painted, and then that'll be that completed. Well, that's one almost finished, another one partly done. I will be ordering more of these in the new year. I'm going to have to get a new paintbrush as well, some more artist brushes, because they're rather crudely painted, although except they haven't dried yet. But as I say, I will be getting more in the new year, and two of them will get painted a silver colour for use with the WH Smith store. They'll make look a lot better. We'll come back to them in a couple of minutes, but I've got the bus stop sign up on Westgate Road outside the social work department office, so you can see that now. Just made a little hole in there with a craft knife, stuck a little bit of Yoo-hoo glue in the bottom of the pole, and then put it in, held it in for a few seconds and let go. So that's that done there, as per this. So it's starting to really come together now, the street scene as well, and it's going to be a couple of years before it's all fully done, the street scene, but it is now starting to come together, as I say, very well. A couple of things that I will mention to you as well. Even if you don't use all the bus stop signs, keep a hold of the plastic poles, because they can be used for other signs, like directing people to railway stations, toilets, leisure centres. There's all these sorts of pedestrian signs as well, so they're always handy to keep a hold of, just in case you do want to do that sort of thing. And whilst I'm actually here as well, we're talking about road signs and other bits on a layout. It's worth talking about a couple other layouts as well. OORail.com, he's down in New Zealand. Give him a check out. Or is it America? It's one of the two anyway. But it's an overseas one, but it's set in Britain in the sectorisation era, so give him a check out. And also give a shout out to Newcastle Central. It's a gentleman who used to live in Newcastle in Tyne and Wear, but he now lives in Australia, in New South Wales, where there's also Newcastle, but he's actually building on the proper Newcastle, his station, Newcastle Central in Tyne and Wear in the northeast of England. So please give him a check out, and if you also give a check out to my friends at Wrangler, the clothing company. If you're in the UK, it's www.wrangler.co.uk. Anywhere else in Europe, eu.wrangler.com, and in North America, www.wrangler.com. Right, let's get these dried and let's get them on the layout. Just before I show you the finished product, that being the roll cage on the brute trolley rather, on the platform, just want to give a quick mention to a gentleman on Twitter, Charlie SS Music. Now his name is Charlie Starmer Smith, and he's brought out a new single called Spotlight, and it's about his father Nigel. Those of you who are rugby fans, and especially rugby fans of a certain age, and I include myself in that, will remember the name of Nigel Starmer Smith. He was a rugby union commentator with the BBC, then latterly went freelance working with ITV at the 2003 World Cup, and later on done the World Feed commentary for the International Board. Charlie wrote the song about his dad to raise money for the Alzheimer's Society, because his dad has been living in a care home for many years with dementia. I watched a video on the BBC Sport website recently showing you Charlie going to visit him, and it's really sad to see how Nigel is, but Charlie said that his dad always took the positives out of life, and would take the positives out of Nigel's work as a commentator, including that historic match for Scotland in 1999 when they won the Five Nations. They beat France that day, then they had to wait on Wales beating England the next day. Nigel was there in the box in Paris. So the link to the tune is in the description below, and if you could all please download it, it would mean a lot to Charlie, I'm pretty sure of that. Now we'll just move away from the rugby ground. It's very appropriate we have a rugby union ground there. There it is. Now that's one of the brute trolleys now painted, and it's got a bit of a scuffed look on it, and another parcel. And as you see, if I just pick it up there, I've painted underside black. The parcel is not glued onto the brute trolley, I've just left it like that there. Now I had a little problem that I noticed. The glue had failed on one of the platform bits here, so I've had to actually, and the lamppost was leaning over, so I've had to rip off the lamppost, get some Yoo-hoo glue in there, stick it down, and then stick the lamppost back down again. Hopefully you won't notice. But anyway, in all seriousness, I think it may be something I'll have to do with the pavements on the street scene one day. I used Pritt Stick for some of them at first rather than Yoo-hoo glue, and I think I'm going to have to replace them with new sections using Yoo-hoo glue. So you may well end up seeing a replacement of the pavements next year. But anyway, that's to come. Now just before we do finish off this update, I want to just draw your attention over here. You'll see that I've brought the building out a bit here, the depot office. What I'm going to do for the January update is I'm going to create a gravel path along this part here, and we'll have a concrete base here. Not this sort of stuff, but just a normal concrete base like what I've got here. By bringing that out, it brings it away from the depot, the engine shed, and it means that therefore this bit here actually fits no problem. So that's going to be a job that you'll see completed in the January update. You'll also see a couple of other bits of work that I'll be starting to do in the January update as well, and a lot of it will be concentrated on here in the depot area, getting all fully sorted out for the coming time ahead. and I promise you I will get around to actually putting dropper wires in here and fixing the dropper wire that come out of here as well. I promise you I will do that, and hopefully I'll get it all done in the January update. So that is it from Clydebridge Station for 2021. I've made you several videos during the year, and I've recommended several other layouts to watch and other people to follow on the likes of Twitter and Instagram who aren't into railways. It has been a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the story from my model railway layout this year, and hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more next year. There'll be 2 videos coming in January. There'll be the January update, and there'll also be a special video looking at 40 years since the creation of the business sectors of British Rail. I think the working title of this video will be Sectorisation at 40, but anyway, we'll see what happens. The actual anniversary of sectorisation is the 5th of January 2022, but the video will come towards the end of the month. I'll let you see the update to the layout first. Next year we'll see lots more stuff getting done on here, lots more stuff getting bought from the likes of Scale Model Scenery, lots more alterations and improvements being made, and lots more running of trains as well. The layout at the end of 2021 looks a lot different, particularly on this side, from what it did at the start of the year, and I have to say it's for the better as well. I'll be hopefully COVID preventing, hopefully COVID will not prevent me from attending shows in 2022. Glasgow, Model Rail Scotland, Glenrothes and Cooper are among those that I'm hoping to attend next year, and if you do happen to see me at any of those, pop over and say hello to me, and it would be great to meet you all. Remember too that unlike 1 or 2 people on here, I don't ask for Patreon cash donations, etc. I'm just doing this in my own time for your enjoyment. So the support you give me by just following me and contacting me here is great enough. Do though let your friends see this and ask them to subscribe as well to me, and I'll do my best to subscribe back. Now, we don't have a Christmas tree on the layout at all. Why not? It's set in the summer of 1990. However, I will just finish off by saying to you all, please have a very, very Merry Christmas, stay safe, and I sincerely hope that Santa is good to you, and I shall see you next year. Take care of yourselves, won't you, and bye bye for now.